Welcome back. Some Blizzard news that I wanted to talk about. Character names are going to be released, and Ghostcrawler had some interesting things to say. So we're going to get into that in the background. Apexis Crystal Grind. So, what's going on with the character names? Straight from Blizzard. We often receive requests from players to free up a character name. Customer support will no longer assist with releasing names. Instead, names will automatically become available if the account that holds the name has remained inactive for the past 2 expansions. For example, if an account has been inactive since before the Cataclysm expansion, all names on that account will be made available when the Warlords of Draenor expansion launches. If you are an active player, there is no need to worry that your character names may be changed, even if you have been playing other characters for a while. So the key word seems to be here, key phrase, remained inactive for the past 2 expansions. What I think normally happens for your average player is that they leave, come back, leave, come back. So I'm curious how many names actually end up getting released, but I wanted to put that out there because there are some people who have done amazing things with their characters, and they're known for that. And they left, but I don't know if they stayed gone. You see what I'm saying? So you might want to sub for a minute and then bounce, WoW token it and bounce if it is important to you that you keep the name that those achievements were earned under. So, let's talk about what Ghostcrawler said. I love the fact that he still talks about things, and he makes sure that mentions that he's talking about it during the time that he worked there. He can't talk about what's going on now. So, let's talk about Activision. Do you think Blizzard's philosophy changed when they merged with Activision? Back in 2008, they said nothing would change, but since then, seems like Blizzard slowly became more focused on the general public and profit. So then he responded, "We've never noticed much Activision influence down in the trenches. Maybe the execs felt it, I don't know. Profit is a weird thing in this business because, yes, it is a business, and not only do you want to keep the lights on, but many of us want to feel that we didn't make a mistake going into this industry. I think we've all played games that felt like they were focusing too much in tricking you out of your hard-earned cash and left us feeling icky. But that doesn't mean that being successful is a bad priority. I'm exaggerating slightly here, but I get the feeling sometimes that some players would prefer developers to be sacrificing everything just to pour their soul into a game, that somehow the design is more pure and therefore better that way. In reality, that doesn't happen. World-class artists and hotshot engineers kind of want to feed their families, and that's absolutely true. And I think that it was good for him to say this, because that Activision merger seems to be sort of like an excuse that people use when they don't get what they want in the game. Has the development changed? Yes. Another example of a game that changed is SWTOR. They started off with this great storyline, decisions make a difference, blah, 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 and then they changed to this watered down, all that effort that you made, romancing and building a relationship with your companion meant absolutely nothing. Matter of fact, you never said anything to him again. I don't know where they thought that was a good idea, because BioWare is known, has a reputation and a love for, the relationships that you build with your characters. I mentioned SWTOR because they're changing it around, and they are releasing content back old school. That's their thing now. It's old school. I hope Blizzard is paying attention, because people really don't want old school WoW, because if that was the case, WildStar would have been more successful. People tend to look back at the past and they glorify it. And they don't. A perfect example is women with childbirth. If your average woman didn't glorify that back thing, no children, the second child would never make it. And it's the same thing. People remember what they want to remember in the older WoW expansions, and they don't remember. See, what I remember is that 40 to 50, 50 to 60 leveling experience was the most painful. Oh, God. And trying to get 20 gold for a oh, yeah, I don't ever want to go back to that because I've evolved. I've grown up. I don't play with Barbies anymore, and I don't want that game. I want new features in the game, new blood, new life, new innovation. So you heard it from him. That Activision thing really wasn't as making an impact in the trenches as it was, as many people thought. So, what else did he talk about? What's your view on bring the player, not the class philosophy from a couple of years of perspective? Do you believe that ultimately it brings more of the game, better flow and accessibility, than it takes away, not feeling unique in the big game, in a big game, or not really? An MMO should embrace strong class diversity. So then he said, I'm still a fan of philosophy. The state of the game before that was a value was one building small groups to maximize buffs. I do feel that under my watch the class design did get a little too homogenized. It's tough because every day players would challenge us with, why do I have to be so bad on this one fight? Why can't I have a cool ability that makes me desirable? We would have, and probably should have, pushed back some on that, even at the cost of game balance. I haven't been keeping up with the game, so I can't comment on the state of class design today. I'm just talking about when I worked on things. And this is something, and I've fallen into this trap, but I don't really talk about it. I'm one that wants to do everything. I like to be self-reliant. I don't like sucking at something, and I don't like it when I work hard at it and I still suck at it. But the truth of the matter is that if I face roll everything, then what's the point again, of playing with me? Somewhere along the way you have to lose. So I get it. I don't like it, but I get it, and I think other players need to get it that, you know what, you're going to get your ass kicked quite a bit, but it makes when you do win feel so much better. So somebody asked, do you still play World of Warcraft? And he said, I haven't since I left Blizzard. That has zero to do with the game itself and more to do with my relationship with it. I was really, really close to WoW, as you can imagine. Some space has been good for perspective. And just one example, I actually had some trouble during my interview with Riot because I couldn't speak in depth about other game designs to the extent that I could about WoW. It took just so much of my bandwidth at work and at home. I'm trying to be a more well-rounded designer now and immerse myself in other games. There are emotional reasons for the distance as well. I compare it sometimes to having a breakup with your significant other. That split may have been for very good reasons, but still driving by their house or stalking them on social media brings up these unresolved feelings. If I had to guess, I'll be back and playing again in a year or so. That is a very healthy perspective, in my opinion. And honest, because he did put so much of himself into WoW. Now he's got to find that balance with Riot. And speaking of which, he said, or not he said, somebody asked, are you excited to see the Warcraft movie coming out next year, and would you watch it? And he responded, totally. I wouldn't be surprised if we took a company trip to see it. I've hinted at this before, but players tend to extend the rivalries they feel with other games to the studios that make them, but we really don't feel it. We want the best for companies like Blizzard and Valve. I have friends at both studios, and I want to see them succeed. If you ever go to E3, you'll see this. That they hang out together, and that animosity that you feel as a player, doesn't necessarily translate to what they feel, even when they're in competing markets. So that's it. Let me know what you think about, well, I don't think you probably care that much about the name change, but what do you think about what Ghostcrawler said? Do you like the fact that he still talks and interacts with people? I think it's great. I love it, and I wish more devs were as good at doing it as Ghostcrawler has become. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.